Back with another live stream. Thank you guys all for being here. And we will get started in about 5 minutes. So we have our countdown clock over on this side here. And as soon as that gets down to 0, that's when we will officially start. And so I just like to come in a little bit early to make sure everything's working properly. And I just remember there's one thing I need to go grab. So I'm going to go do that in a second. But thank you guys all for joining the party. So let me go grab that real quick. I'll be right back. All right. Okay, so I have my little earbuds. I'm starting to use earbuds now. It's just a little bit easier for me to use and hear things while they're playing. Instead of having that little thing I wrap over my ear and everything, it's pinned to my shirt, and it always bugs me. So I'm constantly reaching for it and stuff. So I wanted to change that up a little bit. Now, we have a few things to talk about today, and I'll go ahead and go over it with you guys real quick so you know, and then we'll go ahead and start the show in about 4 minutes. So first thing we're going to talk about is the enhanced unemployment. So we will look at the map, and we'll look at the states who are pretty much all the states have been approved except for South Dakota, and they're the only ones that didn't apply. So everyone, and they declined it. They weren't going to apply. And so everyone else has been approved, and now we're just looking at when they're going to send the money out. Now, I don't know for every state when they're going to send money out, but I can tell you that some states have already run out of money, and we'll talk a little bit about that when I show you the map. The numbers, we're going to look at the numbers when it comes to where we are now, and there's no active negotiation going on right now. But where are we? Just where are we when it comes to the numbers? So we'll look at that. And those numbers, I mean, realistically, if they really wanted to make a deal, the numbers are there. And I'm going to show you that, or at least close to the numbers. I mean, it would be a situation where if the Democrats wanted to turn this down, I think they would really be making a bad decision. Okay, and we're also going to talk about the polls. We're going to start focusing on the election, right? So we do have a lot of stuff going on when it comes to these different scandals and things coming out, or different information coming out, the Woodward tapes and the things that were said about vets and stuff like that. So I want to start talking a little bit more about the polls and talk a little bit more about the election, because that, believe it or not, will have a big impact on a lot of things, but it will also have an impact on the stimulus package. So we'll talk about that. And then just listen to Trump earlier. He just made a couple of statements. I want to talk about the COVID-19 numbers and everything. And are we rounding the corner, as President Trump is saying? Are we at that stage yet? So that's what we're going to talk about. So those are the top 4 stories. Then we're also going to open it up to Q&A. So if you guys have questions or anything like that, feel free to shoot it or put your questions in the chat. If you wait till later on in the show to start asking the questions, that's probably best, because usually I will start. I can't go back up to the top and then work my way all the way down, only because there are just so many questions in the chat. And so if you wait till kind of halfway, or you can even wait until I say, okay, we're going to open up for Q&A, start putting the questions in then, and then I can address those questions. And one more thing too, when it comes to the people who are members or the people who are not members, if you're in the chat and you ask a question, just put @TEC. I will answer that question, okay, if I have time. Now, sometimes there are too many questions in there, so I do have to kind of pick and choose some of the different questions. Or let's say there was a question that had been asked before, so I've already answered it, that kind of stuff. So I might not answer that question. If I miss your question and you really want it answered, you can put it again at the end of the chat. Usually right before we end, I always say, okay, we're going to be on about 5 more minutes. If there are any last questions, go ahead and ask them at this time. That's a perfect time for you to ask a question. Also, we have a Discord. So, and all this information will be coming up. You'll see it'll say Streamlabs. There'll be a little Streamlabs bot that will put out some different things, telling you to like the video, all that kind of stuff. It'll also give you a link to our Discord. So we have a Discord. So if you have a question and I did not answer it in our chat, you can ask me in the Discord. So that's another way that you can reach out to me. So there are a variety of different ways you can reach out to me. I'm just saying this because I did have someone that in our Discord that was saying that I didn't answer her question on the live stream. So if I didn't get to your question in the live stream, ask me in the Discord. I can answer it there. Okay, so just putting that stuff out there to you guys. Just want you guys to know, hey, yeah, I'm here. If you have questions, I'm not, avoiding your questions. We also, for our members, we do have a private Discord for them where if they, we talk a little bit more. Well, I won't say we talk more, but because we were just talking about it today, there's really not much chatter in there. There's not that many people there, but they do have a private Discord for members, okay? And so we talk over there as well. So I just want you guys to know, if you guys have a question, and if I do have the answer to it, I can answer it in all those different settings. So on YouTube, in the Discord, my email address is also in the description. So some people just email me stuff as well. All right, guys. So just wanted to put that out there. And it looks like we are down to zeros. Let me get everything set up, and then we'll go ahead and officially start. And all right, yeah, everything looks good. All right, guys, so let's start. Actually, let me close this out real quick. There we go. Now we go. Here we go. What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another live stream. Thank you guys all for being here. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the time. I changed the time. Yes, I did. I was doing it at 1 o'clock. I've changed now back to 7. And I had a lot of people ask me, can you change it back to 7, or could you make it a little bit later? 1 o'clock is a little early for a lot of people when it comes to, and this is Pacific Standard Time, when it comes to on a Saturday, you want to get stuff done. So not too many people are just sitting in the house wanting to watch a live stream, and I totally understand that. And so that's why we went back with 7 o'clock. And so we'll see how this works. We'll do it for a little bit and see if the response is the same or better. So we'll work with that. Also, if you guys can do me a favor, we have about 500 people in the room. If you could hit the like button so we can bring some more people in. We have about 20 or 250 likes. So if you like the live stream, YouTube will start promoting it out to more people. So please do that. Now, let me talk about the stories that we're going to discuss right now. We're going to talk about the enhanced unemployment. We'll look at the map. We'll see where everyone is when it comes to each state. Where are they in the process? Pretty much all states have been approved at this point. And so we'll talk about that. Some states have run out of money, though, so we'll talk about that as well. We're going to talk about the numbers when it comes to the lack of negotiation. They're not negotiating right now. There's not an active negotiation going on, but we will talk about the numbers. We know where each side is when it comes to the numbers, and why I think the Republicans have an opportunity to give the Democrats numbers that they just can't refuse. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the polls. We're going to start looking at the election a little bit more because this is going to have a major effect on another stimulus package, as well as just it's going to have an effect on a lot of things. And so we're going to talk about that and how I mean, this is probably going to be the ugliest election. And when I say ugly, I mean just really, oh God, I can't think of the right word to use, but it's going to be a nasty election. And that's, I mean, I just the stuff that's coming out. I'm going to show you guys a clip, and this is President Trump said this before, and he's repeating it again, and it's going to be ugly. So we'll just have to see where it goes, but we are going to follow the election. So in the future, it's not only going to be stimulus checks, it's going to be the election stuff that we're going to focus on as well. Also, we're going to talk about the COVID-19 numbers, and we're going to talk about how Trump is how he's playing this now. So we'll talk about the words that he's using when it comes to the COVID-19 numbers and how we're rounding the corner, and the way he says it is we're rounding the corner. Are we really rounding the corner, or the number's still bad? And the projections are even worse when it comes down to it. So those are the stories we're going to talk about. Then we're going to open up Q&A. So if you guys have questions at that time, you can ask questions, and we'll make sure to address those questions. But yes, it's been a busy week. You guys we all know about the failure of the skinny bill, which I think most people are probably pretty. They're upset that the bill failed, in the sense that nothing is getting done now. It looks like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, the Republican senators said, hey, we gave it a shot and it didn't work, so we don't want to do anything now. That's kind of I'm not saying that all Republicans feel that way, and I know the White House doesn't feel that way. They'd probably like to continue negotiating. But because of this skinny bill not passing, I think the urgency is kind of dying off a little bit. And so, I mean, the urgency still should be there, but I think, and this is the real bad part about it, and this is the games that politicians play. Mitch McConnell knew he didn't have the numbers when he called this bill to the floor. So he knew it wasn't going to pass, but he just wanted the Republican senators to be able to pass something, or try to pass something, and just be on record saying, we voted for something, they just turned it down. And so that will be their argument when they go into November 3rd, when they're going in and they're asking for votes. They can all say, hey, well, we had a stimulus package on the table. We tried to push it through, but the Democrats didn't want to do it. But what they're not going to tell you is they're not going to tell you that the package didn't have stimulus checks in it. They're not going to tell you that. Now, the only way you're going to know that is if you look into it on your own. But they're not going to share that information with you. But they are going to say, yeah, we had a package that we tried to pass, and it didn't go. So that's where we are when it comes down to it. Just got a phone call. I'm going to have to answer that, but we'll do that after the show. Okay, so those are the four things we're going to talk about. We're going to get started right now. So like I said, if you guys have questions, if you can hold off to the end of the show, it works out a little bit better. That way I can answer those questions, because if you ask them now, sometimes I'm not able to get all the way down, and like go all the way up to the top and then work my way all the way down when it comes to that. So ask those questions later on in the show, and then that way I can have a better chance of answering the question. If you ask a question and I do not answer that question, just put the question in there again. Okay, at the very end, I always give you guys kind of a 5-minute warning. So I'll tell you there's about 5 minutes left, and that's the cue right there. If your question hasn't been answered, to put it out there again, and then I can answer that question for you. All right, we're going to do some shout outs real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you guys all for being here. Really appreciate it. And also, please hit that like button, guys. We've got about 600 people in the room. So if you guys can hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. It will help with the YouTube algorithm, help bring more people in the room. And we also have an announcement. So once we reach 1,000 people in the room, we're going to do this announcement. I'm actually going to show you while I do it. So it should be pretty interesting for you guys. Well, let me just say this. It's an announcement. It's not, it's just a channel announcement, okay? So it's not anything about stimulus checks or anything like that, but I do want to make an announcement, and there's going to be a change. So that's what we're going to do there. All right, so let's see here. Shout outs to Christina. What's going on, Christina? Thank you for being a member. Thank you for being here. And who else do we have? I give shout outs to all the members, so I am going to run through that and give a shout out to the members. Now, if you want me to give you a shout out, just ask me a question and I will give you a shout out. Okay, Keisha, thank you for being here, Keisha. Mega, thank you for being here. Or is it Mega, or is it Mega? Lisa, thank you for being here. All right, Kathy, thank you for being here. Adam, thank you for being here. Larry King, thank you for being here. Lou, what's going on, Lou? Jason, what's going on? Thank you for being here. Ronnie, what's going on? Thank you for being here. And I think DJ, what's going on, DJ? Dean, thank you for being here, Dean. And that is all. Okay, so those are all the members. Thank you guys all for being here. And thank everyone for being here. Thank you guys all for. Oh, we got Google. Google wants to help. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. First story, we're going to talk about enhanced unemployment. So let's go ahead and pull this up. So we have our map here, and we've been going off the Yahoo Finance map. They do a really good job on their map. Now, I will say that there is one. Now, they did this, I believe this was late yesterday, but there has been a change. So Nevada is now approved. So they're no longer applying. They've been approved. And so we have all the states that have been approved in the fluorescent yellow color, fluorescent yellow, green, whatever that is. So those are all the states that have been approved. And then the states that have started paying are the ones in green. So that light green, they've all started paying. And now they have a new graph here where the states who have run out of money. So they've run out of funds already. So basically, when we talked a little bit about this. Some of the states are just doing that lump sum. They're just giving, and most states are probably going to do the same thing. They're just going to give them one check. That one check goes out, and then now they're out of money. So I think the checks were good enough for about 6 weeks, and so, or the money was good enough for about 6 weeks, and so that's what we have when it comes down to those numbers. And so we're looking at Montana, we're looking at Arizona, Texas, Missouri, and Tennessee. They are all out of money. So what does that mean? That means, oh, let me get off that. What does that mean? That means that we need more enhanced unemployment, right? And so that's going to be something that they're going to have to address in the near future. And so we'll have to see what they do with this. There's urgency, definitely urgency that this get done, right? So we'll have to see what they do, what they come up with. It's gotten to a point now where it's so ridiculous because we're $900 million, and I know that's or $900 billion. Wow, $900 billion, and I know that's a lot of money, but when it comes down to it, it's all borrowed money, and we know that, right? So you're willing to not do a deal because of $900 billion when you can invest that money, because that's the way we need to start looking at things. We're looking at things the wrong way. When I say we, I'm talking about politicians are looking at things the wrong way. They're just looking at things like, oh, you know what? We have to spend this money. But in reality, what they need to do is invest that money in the people, and then the people will start working again and start paying the money back, right? So if the economy is good, then this stuff can be paid off, is what I'm saying. As far as the money that's being invested in the people at this point, invested in business. That's why they're always talking about, oh, PPP. They want to invest money in PPP, and those same businesses, if they do well, then they're going to be paying more in taxes. And when I say more in taxes, I mean, if you make more income, then you pay more in taxes. I'm not saying raise taxes. I'm just saying the more money you make, the more money you pay in taxes. And so that will help out as far as the economy. Just like an individual, if I'm working, then I'm paying taxes. If I'm not working, I'm not paying taxes. If you invest in people, giving them the ability to get a job, and if you give me a stimulus check, or if you're paying enhanced unemployment, guess what? I'm spending that money at the local grocery store, at the local restaurants, and all that. That local grocery store, the local restaurants, they're hiring people because their business has benefited from the from stimulating the economy. And so that's how you help everybody out, and that's how you bring everybody up. But right now we have this whole argument. It's like we don't want to spend any more money, and that is going to be our downfall. I mean, it really will, because we're just going to sit here and argue back and forth over this whole money. And like I said, it's not like we have a budget. Yeah, it gets me frustrated. I don't even want to continue talking about it because it's senseless. It's senseless that we have politicians that are arguing about about money like this when we know that we're in the biggest crisis that we've faced in our lifetime. This is definitely the biggest crisis that I faced in my lifetime. And I think most of us could probably agree this is the biggest crisis that we've ever seen. And we have an issue of, oh, we can't go more into debt. This is the time we need to really put our foot down when when this is the time we really need to invest in the people and worry about that stuff a little later, not now, because they talk about, well, we don't want our kids to have to pay for all this debt. Well, we could be in a situation where not only they're going to pay for this debt, but they're going to be paying for a lot of other stuff that's affecting us right now. We're not addressing. So we'll see where it goes. But next story I want to talk about. So I want to talk about the numbers. So exactly where are we? There's no active negotiating going on right now. But what do the numbers look like? And this is what our numbers look like. And it's interesting because we know the Democrats are asking for $2.2 trillion for this next stimulus package, right? And they've come down off $3.4 trillion. So they've come down halfway, $2.2 trillion. The Republicans, now we're talking about the Republicans in the Senate, and I only put the $500 billion is because that's kind of what the skinny bill is actually less than that, but they had that money, the unspent money from the CARES Act. So it's about, let's just say about $500 billion. Now that failed, right? So we already know that's off the table. That's not going to go anywhere. And so now we are looking at the White House. So what does the White House want? The White House was asking for, they moved up from $1 trillion. The HEALS Act was $1 trillion. So they moved up from that to $1.3 trillion, which is good. But then they moved even higher. Stephen Mnuchin announced, you know what, we could even go up to $1.5 trillion. And so now you're looking at the numbers of $2.2 trillion or $1.5 trillion. Now they're getting closer. They're getting closer. Within $700 billion, right? But let's move a step further. We know that there's $350 billion sitting, that unspent money sitting somewhere, right? And President Trump has mentioned this. We saw it in the skinny bill. So we know that that money is there and can be repurposed for something else. We already know that. So why not? Why not move that money over? And so you have the 1.5 trillion, add that to the 1.5 trillion, and now we're looking at 1.85 trillion. A situation like that, I cannot see Democrats saying no, 1.85. No, that's too low. I'm thinking that's a winning number if they could put that together. And so I'm hoping that, cooler heads prevail. My famous saying, at least for right now, cooler heads prevail, and they figure this out and they say, okay, yes, let's go ahead and go with the 1.85 trillion. We already know when it comes to state and local, we already know that the Democrats, or at least Nancy Pelosi, has indicated we can wait for the state and local. We can wait until January or February to try to see what we can do with state and local. Allow them to use the funds that they have right now, and then we can wait to see what we're going to do when it comes to future funding for state and local. So Nancy Pelosi's already put that out there. And so you can take that off the table. That should get you to that number that you're looking at. Initially, they were talking $1 trillion for state and local. And so now looking at it, you could bring those numbers. I mean, you have $150 billion right now for state and local. So, and that's from the CARES Act. So let them repurpose that money, give them more flexibility to use that money for different things when it comes to state and local. And then you can always, with the school funding, you can increase the school funding from $105 billion to something a little bit more. And that will cut down on some of the state and local, because some of the state and local is going to be going to that anyway. Or you can do separate stuff. If you want to do separate stuff for first responders, have some funding for first responders only, right? That can only be used for first responders. That can cut down on some stuff when it comes to state and local. The big argument when it comes to the state and local is they're going to use this money to pay off their old debt when it comes to pensions and things like that. Now, me personally, I think that when it comes down to it, those pensions are going to people. Okay. And so those people are they're going to be punished for states mishandling the pensions, if you understand what I'm saying. So the fight is, well, we're not going to give them money. We're not going to give the state and local governments money because they misuse the pensions, or misuse the handling of the pensions. But guess what? Those pensions are going to people like you and me, right? And so I didn't mishandle the money. The state or local government mishandled the money. So now you're saying, well, we're not going to give them money to fund them. It's one of those deals where you're going to punish the people on top, or you're going to punish the people who are working, the hardworking people, and those are the people that are not going to be getting their pensions, or potentially getting less in their pensions because of something that politicians did. And so that's something that I don't agree with when it comes down to that argument. And also you need to think of this too, and President Trump has mentioned this several times when it comes to the whole thing. I don't want to give money to these blue states, and with badly run states is basically what he's saying. So he's saying, I don't want to give money to these blue states, but guess what? He's not giving money to any state, because if they don't have state and local funding on there, no one gets money. And so you're saying, I don't want to give money to these blue states, but guess what? You're not giving money to the red states either. Red states, Republican; blue states, Democrat. So, yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't make sense. But that's the argument. But how does 1.85 trillion sound? I think that's doable, right? I can't see Democrats turning that down. Maybe if we had some people that were really wanting to negotiate for the American people, we could get that done. But the other option, obviously, is the president's talking about these whole executive orders. He wants to do some more of those. I think the president he doesn't want a stimulus package. He just wants to do the executive orders because he thinks that will make him look like the hero. Whereas if they were able to negotiate something, not without the president, so if the White House, Stephen Mnuchin, Mark Meadows, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer were able to negotiate something, it kind of takes him out of the limelight, right? He's not the one that's really getting it done. But the whole problem is with the executive order, can he legally do it? That's the big question. And if he sets precedent, and this is the danger, because you have the president right now is doing a lot of things that normal presidents wouldn't do. And the main reason that they wouldn't do these things is because they don't want to be the one setting this precedent. Because if you set this precedent now, especially right before an election, you can just give money to the American people right before an election in the hopes that it's going to help you get reelected. Guess what? Guess what's going to happen every 4 years? Every 4 years, president's going to find a way to just give money to people in the last hour, right before they get elected. That way, hey, I'm giving you guys money, vote for me. So you set that precedent. It's not only going to benefit Trump, it's going to benefit any president that's in there, because he can always say, you know what? Trump did it, why can't I? Oh, well, it's not a crisis. Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, it is a crisis. That's why we're going to go ahead and do it. And so that's the danger. That's the danger there. All right, guys, let's see. Let's see here. We have one more story to talk about, and then we'll go ahead and we'll open the Q&A here. Actually, we have two more stories. I'm sorry, two more stories. And guys, please hit that like button if you could do that for me. It really helps out with the algorithm. It'll bring some more people in the room. So next story we want to talk about, the poll numbers. So I'm going to pull this up, and let's see here. I use Real Clear Politics. If you guys know anything about me, I use these same polls because they do an average. Okay, and I like the fact that they do an average, because some polls, they're not going to average things out. They don't average things out at all. And so when you're looking at the polls, you're just looking at what they did their research, and they took a sample, And so I like using Real Clear Politics because they will average out all these polls, these big polls that are out there. So looking at Real Clear Politics right now, Biden is up plus 7.5. Okay, so that's right at the top. All right, I guess it's the middle of the screen. It says RCP average. It's in yellow. So that is where Biden is. Now, if you do notice, all the polls have Biden up. Okay, there's not a single poll there out of all these different polls that were done. There's not a single poll that has Trump leading. And you have a couple of polls that are, you have one, let's see, the USC poll here. Oh, no, it wasn't USC, I'm sorry. Rasmussen poll. Rasmussen poll generally is pretty right-leaning, I'll say that. They have a Biden up +2. And I'm sure that's within the margin of error there. So it's pretty much a dead heat when it comes down to it. But all the other polls, we have Emerson poll is +2 as well. But all the other polls, they're showing Biden with a lead that's greater than the margin of error. So that's something to really look at because we're not just talking about one poll. Like I said, we're talking about every poll that's out there. If we go back and we look at history here, or not history, but we look at the last few months, and you see Biden, all this blue here is Biden being up, and he's up in every poll that has been out in the last, the last time, and I don't even know, I know there was a tie, there was a couple ties. Here's a tie here. Now this is a tie back in April, okay? And what happened in April? We were getting stimulus checks, and the PPP money was going out. You had the CARES Act working. So that was a tie there. Then we had another tie, Fox News tie here, and this was right after. So the CARES Act was signed into law March 27th, and so then that week after that, then we saw a tie with the Fox News poll. So people were happy at that time. They were probably looking at Trump saying, "Yep, you know what? That can really help us, the stimulus checks and all that." So that's what we're looking at when it comes to the poll numbers right now, 7.5. Now that is down. It was up higher. The average, the Real Clear Politics average was up higher before, back in June and July. It was up a little bit higher. I think it went as high as 9 points. I think something like that, close to 9 points. And so now it's come down. Now we can expect for these polls to really close in. They're not going to stay that high. I would say it's probably going to drop between 4 and 5 points near election time. I'm still thinking that Biden's going to be up, but we have to look at all the different things that are going to be happening. We have a debate coming really soon, right? September 29th. That's going to be the first debate. Everyone's going to be looking for that debate or looking at that debate to try to figure out, okay, can Biden really do this? Is he equipped to handle this? And Trump is a very different type of president, and he is unorthodox when it comes to debating because I'm just going to say he's unorthodox, okay? So he might not tell you the truth, and if you don't call him on it, then you'll never know until after the debate. And then you'll hear the spin, and people will say, "Oh, well, he wasn't true about that." But during the debate, because a lot of people don't watch the spin afterwards. I watch the spin because I like the whole political process. But a lot of people don't watch the spin afterwards. They don't watch the corrections afterwards, so they don't know exactly how people do. They just base it on what they see in the debate. Like they don't have time, and I get it. You watch a debate for an hour and a half. You don't want to sit for another 2.5 hours watching them talk about the debate. And then some people don't even watch the debate, and all they do is they catch the little clips the next day, which those clips can really, they're not going to tell you much. They're just going to show you the different exchanges, but you're not going to get a lot of information when it comes to what is the reality when it comes down to it. But the reason that I'm saying that this is going to be a really ugly election, this is one of the reasons here. So let me show you this.
There's probably possibly drugs involved. That's what I hear. I mean, there's possibly drugs. I don't know how you can go from being so bad where you can't even get out a sentence. I mean, you saw some of those debates with the large number of people on the stage. He was, I mean, I used to say, how is it possible that he can even go forward?
All right. Actually,
There's
let me go.
probably possibly
Let
drugs
me
involved. That's what I hear. I mean, there's possibly
let me
drugs.
go.
I
Let
don't
me
know
go
how
to
you
the
can
end
go
of
from
this.
being so bad where you can't even get out a sentence. I mean, you saw some of those debates with the
So I'm just
possible
going to
that
skip
he can
forward.
even go forward.
Look at this. Look at the response on the news reporter here on the left. And just look at his face. It's like, what?
There's probably
All
possibly
right.
drugs involved. That's what I
Let me
hear.
get back. So you see his response is like, I don't know. So you have a president, our acting president, saying that he doesn't know. Like and he said this before. He wants Biden to be drug tested before they have this debate. Like this is a sporting event or something like that, right? Like this is the Olympics, and so he wants the president or the vice president, the President Joe or Vice President Joe Biden, to be drug tested because he thinks he's using performance enhancing drugs. This is going to be a crazy, crazy election, and I'm definitely going to continue following the election. Like I said, I think it has a lot to do with our um, it has a lot to do with what's going to happen when it comes to stimulus package and all that good stuff. So yeah, just crazy, right? And he's going to continue with this. I absolutely guarantee you, President Trump was going to continue with this. He needs to be drug tested. I think he's using drugs. He's trying to set himself up. President Trump's trying to set himself up. So if he doesn't do well in the debate, he can always say, I think he's doing drugs. We need to drug test. Before the next debate, we need to have him drug tested because I think he's using drugs. It's just crazy. We've never seen anything like this before. Never, never. It amazes me. But you see, I can already see that's what's going to come out of this. He's going to continue with this. I think he's using drugs, and we need to drug test him. All right, guys. Hey, so if you guys can do me a favor, like button, hit that like button. Let's get up to 1,000 likes, and I'm gonna announce something right now, okay? And I'm gonna actually show you guys while I do it. So, I've been contemplating this for a while, and I wanted to actually do this a little while ago, but then I said, you know what? I don't want to mess with the algorithm, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. And you guys already know I've changed my logo, the tech show. I have a website now that I haven't launched the website officially yet, but I'm going to have a website, the tech show. And so I am going to change the name of the channel to the TEC show, to the tech show. Now, TEC stands for Travel Explore Click, right? So it's still going to be Travel Explore Click, but I wanted to turn it into more of a show. And so I will be changing the name, and I'm actually going to do that right now. And so you guys see it first, the TEC show. So make sure you share this with all your friends. So if they say, what happened? What happened to Travel Explore Click? Oh, he's still here. He just changed the name. He changed the name to the tech show. And so I officially have done that now. And so another thing I want to talk about when it comes to the show. Okay, so I don't want to just talk about stimulus checks. I do want to talk about some other news stories. And so I will be talking about other news stories, kind of like we're talking about today. We're talking about election stuff. We're going to talk about COVID-19 numbers. We'll talk about some finance stuff as well. So I want to talk about more than just the stimulus check stuff, right? And so we will still have a segment that talks about the stimulus checks, stimulus package, how we're going to proceed when it comes to that. But I want to do some other things too when it comes to the channel and make it a show. So make it a show where you guys can come, you get the latest news. Some of this news is not going to be news that's going to be reported on mainstream media. It's going to be news that I'm focused more on, because when it comes down to it, mainstream media, they can't cover everything. And some stories kind of get left out. I think the whole stimulus check stuff was one of those stories that got left out. And when I say that, there's so much going on. So you can't really just focus on the stimulus check stuff. You might do a 2-3 minute segment of stimulus check or a stimulus package, but the vast majority you have to cover some of the other latest news, the Woodward tapes and all this other stuff that's coming out. So you have to cover all that stuff. So on this channel, I can focus a little bit more on some of those other stories that a lot of people are interested in, but they're not getting enough of this, enough information from mainstream media. So I can cover that as well. So that is the plan. So I've officially changed the name. And so make sure, don't unsubscribe. Don't unsubscribe thinking the channel is going to be different. We are still going to cover a lot of the same stuff. But I wanted to officially do that in front of everyone, so you guys can all see that we are moving. We're moving forward. Okay, so I appreciate all the support. I really do, and we'll just move forward with this. And I will have a website very soon. Once it's in the process of getting made right now. And once that's made, then we'll even have another space to go to. And I'll have more information about different stories, different ways. Another thing I want to talk about when it comes to financial stuff is how to travel for free, or almost free. And I've been doing this. This is my channel was focused on this for the last 2 years, where I teach you how to travel for a little, not much money at all, and travel in like style, first class, business class. I show you how to do that. Okay, you don't have to spend that much money, and believe it or not, you can travel. God, I travel to Colombia all the time, which if you guys don't know me, if you're new here, yes, I love going to Colombia. I go to Colombia all the time. I pay $90 for a round trip ticket of business class, and I use points. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that too when it comes to the financial end. So we're going to have different segments that we'll talk about on the show. And I'd like to start doing more live streams. I'm going to start working out maybe a different plan of doing more live streams as well. So that's going to be something. Maybe not as long, so shorter live streams, but more live streams. So that would be another thing that I'm focusing on. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and move forward. So you guys all heard the announcement. So the last thing we're going to talk about now. This is I mean, it's all serious stuff, but this is one of those things where I don't really know exactly how can I say this? The president is in a situation right now where we heard about the Woodward tapes, right? We heard about these tapes coming out, or we heard the tapes, actually, some parts of the tape, where President Trump was downplaying COVID-19, downplaying the seriousness of COVID-19. And he's saying that he didn't want people to panic, and that's why he was downplaying it. Right now, President Trump is at a rally in Reno, and there are a lot of people there. And it was interesting. I just watched this press. He just ran over to the press and talked real quick, and he's saying that we're rounding the corner right now when it comes to COVID-19. So we're doing well when it comes to COVID-19 as far as combating this virus. And our numbers, just looking at the latest numbers, 6.5 million cases. That's current. 193 deaths, or 193,000, I'm sorry, 193,000 deaths, and we're averaging about 1,000 deaths per day. So those numbers are not good. That doesn't look like rounding the corner to me. And then we saw the projections, which I can't even remember offhand. I mentioned it in a video a couple of days ago, but they're estimating that we're going to be at what, is it 400,000 or 200? No, I think it's 400,000 deaths by January. So, and that's a projection. So I mean, it's going to double basically from this point until January. We're looking at numbers that could double. We're looking at 3,000 on average, 3,000 deaths in December per day. So we have a long way to go. And I don't know if this is a way that the president's saying, well, he doesn't want people to panic, and so that's why he's saying that we're rounding the corner. But this is one of those situations where you have to be honest with the people, right? You have to be honest with the people so they know how to respond. If you tell people it's not a big deal, then how are people going to respond? They're going to have parties. We just heard that story of these kids that had they knew some of them had COVID-19 and they had a party anyway, right? And spread the disease, or the virus. And so situations like this, we need to know the truth, and then we can handle it. As far as panicking, I don't really see it like that. It's kind of like, a doctor tells you you have some type of life-threatening illness, but they don't tell you that you have a life-threatening illness, or they tell you have a life-threatening illness, but it will go away on its own. If they tell you that, then you're just thinking, oh, okay, well, I don't have to do anything. But if they tell you the truth and tell you, look, you have this life-threatening illness, these are the things that you need to do in order to get better, then you're going to take those steps to get better, right? But if they don't tell you that, they just tell you, yeah, people can die from it, but it'll just go away on its own. You don't have nothing. You don't have to panic about this. I mean, this is one of those situations where you need to tell people the truth. You need to get them on board to wear masks and to do some of these other things that will help keep this from spreading. So we'll have to see what goes on. But I think as it gets closer and closer to the election, we have a president now that's kind of like, yeah, you know what? Let's continue to downplay this. And I don't know if this is a strategy or not, but I'm just saying what I hear. I'm hearing him downplay this and say that we're rounding the corner and the vaccine's right around the corner. And if people are thinking, yeah, the vaccine's right around the corner, then guess what? They're thinking, you know what? We only have to really, we'll have a vaccine before the election, so we don't really have to do anything. We don't have to change our lifestyle. We can just continue doing what we're doing, or even get a little more brave and just start doing things that are a little more reckless, because there's a vaccine coming, right? And we don't know when that vaccine is coming. We just hear the president saying that he would like to see it before November 3rd, but that doesn't mean it's coming before November 3rd. No one knows when it's coming. So we just, I don't know. It's a crazy deal when you're actually looking at the numbers come out, and then you're realizing that the president is saying something different. It makes it really hard for us to really get past this. And this is the issue. The issue is the virus. If we can handle the virus, then everything else will fall into place. Businesses can open back up. People can go back to school. We can live a new normal, but we can live a somewhat normal life. But if we continue to have this virus spread, we can't have a normal life. We just can't. All right, guys. Yes, show me some love. Show me some love. What's going on, Sherry? Show me some love by hitting that like button. So if you could please do that, I appreciate it. Also, we have a new channel, the TEC Show. Subscribe to the channel. So if you're new here, if you didn't know, I just changed the name to the channel while we're on live right now. So if you see that, it's not a mistake. Actually, it's still showing Travel Explorer. Click up here. So we'll see. Maybe it takes a little while. Since I'm live right now, it probably doesn't click over. But I did just change the name. The TEC Show is our new name. So if you guys are new here and you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Really trying to get more people in here. Since I'm going to be talking about different topics and stuff like that, please subscribe. And we're not just going to talk about the stimulus check stuff, because I know there are a lot of people out there that are like, oh, I'm so tired of hearing the stimulus check stuff. Talk about something else. And so I've heard people ask me that, and so that is something that I want to do definitely. I do want to still follow the story when it comes to stimulus checks and the stimulus package, but I also want to talk about some other stuff, mainly the election. Right now, this election is this is going to be one for the record books. It's going to be crazy, really crazy. Thank you for the super chat, Ron. Appreciate that. One love, David. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and do some Q&A. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Jason, thank you for upgrading your membership. I really appreciate that. All right, so if you guys have a question for me, just put @TEC, and I will answer that question. Somebody try to put or what? At the TEC show. Try to put at the TEC show and see what comes up. I just want to see if it records it or if it's still not recording it yet. All right, so we're going to start answering some questions here. I'm going to work my way up to about halfway on the chat. So if I do miss your question, just ask me the question right now, because I will get to that once I get down to the bottom. Kathy saying maybe they both need to be drug tested. You know what? Look, if President Trump is asking for Biden to be drug tested, then I'm sure the other side, Biden's going to say, well, he needs to be drug tested as well. Yeah. The crazy thing is, what if they did get drug tested and something came up? Be like, oh, wow. Like, and I'm not just talking about like performance enhancing drugs. I'm just talking about something that came up. And they'd be like, oh, wow, okay. They all need drug testing and alcohol testing. Yeah. But it's amazing. It is amazing to me just to see this. Like, it's just a crazy thing, right? Like, where are we in the whole political process and our government? Like, how are we in a situation where we have a president saying, yeah, he needs to be drug tested? Like they're getting ready to go into a boxing match and you need to drug test them before they fight. I mean, this is crazy. All right, let's see. Let's see. Darren's asking a question about, are they thinking about waiving off student loans and back child support, or maybe half of the second check? Wow, you got a bunch of questions here. Let's see if we get anything. I've heard different stories. Okay, so as far as what I've heard, okay, the stories that you've heard, I don't know exactly what you've heard. So LA Late is where your source, I guess. So waiving off the student loans, I have not heard that. The HEROES Act had it in there. They were going to waive it, I think $10,000. They were going to waive off your student loans. When I say waive, we should say forgive, so you would not have to pay that back. But the HEROES Act is not even being looked at. The HEALS Act didn't have anything in it. Definitely the skinny bill didn't have anything in it. So I think this is one of those things where it's kind of, it's gone by the wayside, in my opinion. Back child support, I don't know if you're asking about, will that be allowed in the second round of stimulus checks? We don't know yet. We need to get something on the table first. We need to get a package on the table first before we'll know all the details when it comes to what will happen. And getting half of the last one was getting half of the stimulus check, a second stimulus check. So instead of 1,200, I guess you're saying 600. Who knows? Who knows at this point? I wish I had better news for you guys when it came to the stimulus package, but we have, and that's the title of the show, is our government failing us? Like, they are failing us right now. We're in a situation where we have a government that is not functioning properly. And and it's not just Congress, it's the White House as well. We have a communication issue between the leader of the Republican Party, Donald Trump, and the Senate leadership, which, Republican-run Senate. There's a communication problem because President Trump comes out and says one thing, and then the Senate comes out and does something entirely different. We saw the president just last week say, yes, there's $300 billion sitting in an account, unspent money from the CARES Act. I want to use that for stimulus checks. And so then what do the Republican senators do? They create a skinny bill, take that same funding, and they don't have a stimulus check in there. So it's like they're not on the same page. They're not even communicating with each other. And that's really dangerous. And like I said, you don't see Mitch McConnell in the room. So when it comes to the negotiating that needs to happen, you don't even have the leader of the Senate in on the conversation. He's just getting his direction from the White House, which is not what our forefathers wanted when it came to the balance of powers. the balance of powers, you have a legislative branch. That legislative branch, they make the laws. They vote on they approve those laws, send them to the president well, we won't even call it final approval, but send it to the president for approval. And if the president doesn't want to go with it, then guess what? It can go back to the Congress, and the Congress can override the president. That is their key function. That's the Congress's key function, is to create these bills. And Mitch McConnell has deferred all that to the White House. And so he's not even in, and it might be one of those situations where President Trump told him, I don't want you in on the negotiating. And Mitch McConnell, oh, okay, I just won't I just won't be in on the negotiating. But he needs to be there. That is his role. And so, you know, the government is not working the way that it should work. And now you have a president saying, well, I'll just do executive orders. I'll just do executive orders, which is the wrong message to send to everyone, that you have a government that doesn't function properly, so you just have to go it alone and issue out these executive orders. Like that's not the way our government was designed. And if you don't believe me, listen to what Trump said back in when Obama was in office. That was one of his major gripes. One of his major gripes was that President Obama was using executive order too much. And now we're looking at a president now that's using executive order more than Obama did. So, and in situations where it's like you're using executive orders instead of trying to negotiate. So this is, you know, this is a situation where we really, and this is the worst part about it is this is during an election year. If it was not an election year, could you imagine how crazy it would be and how hard it would be to get things done? We probably wouldn't have even seen the CARES Act if it wasn't an election year. And so it just goes to show you, even when their jobs are on the line, they're still like, yeah, you know what, $900 billion, too much. We don't want to negotiate. We don't want to do anything with that. We don't want to give money to the people. We just want to, you know, do our own thing and go on recess and collect 170,000 per year and 170 plus 1,000 per year, and then just, you know, do our own thing, right? It's crazy. It's crazy to me. You know, their 2 days salary for them is a stimulus check basically, and they're saying, oh yeah, you know, the American people, they don't need another stimulus check. PPP money, yeah, we'll go ahead and go forward with PPP money, but stimulus check, no. Someone saying unfund Congress. Yeah, we should defund the Congress. That should be the thing. Defund the Congress. Another important thing that I heard about, and I don't have the actual article that I was reading, but the payroll tax deferral. So that was another executive order, memoranda by the president, stated that the businesses no longer have to withhold that 6.2% that they've been withholding for the payroll tax. And so they could allow their employees to receive that money, so they'll get a little additional money in each check. Well, the interesting thing is Congress, the people who work in, you know, not the Congress people, but the people who work, or actually the Congress people, they don't even qualify. They make too much money, but their staff, they're not gonna be receiving this additional money. So they're going to continue withholding the 6.2% tax, payroll tax, which is interesting, right? So you have government looking at this whole executive order and saying, no. We're not going to deal with that. We're going to continue withholding that money. We're not going to release that to the people or to the staffers. And so that should be a sign to you. If you see government not going along with it, then maybe it's not a good idea. Like if you're a business and you're kind of on the fence, like, hey, should we withhold this money from our employees, or should we allow them to have the money now? And if the government's not doing it, maybe you should think about not doing it because they're kind of telling you, and basically what it is right now, it's just a loan. So if it's just a loan, you're going to have to pay it back. And so that's what the argument is. Now, there was a senator that just, and I don't have that article, so I don't want to go I don't want to quote it right now. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. But there is a senator that did come out and say, he has a proposal, a new proposal that would address the payroll tax deferral and, try to, almost spilled my coffee, try to improve that. So it's not a deferral and it's not a loan anymore. So we'll look at that. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, guys, we're going to be on about 6 more minutes. So if you have a question, please put your question in the chat, and I'm going to work my way down to the bottom here. So if I did not answer your question, put it in real quick so I can answer it for you. All right. Okay, let's see here. $410,000. Yeah. So that's the projection, those numbers, that potentially by January we could be looking at numbers like that of deaths if things stay the same as far as the way we're handling the COVID-19 situation. Let's see. Verna saying, if that money was there, it has been there. Why didn't he do something when he did the last order? Okay, so, and yeah, so she or he is basically saying, so if that money was there and it's been sitting there this whole time, why didn't he use that in the last executive order? He could have added another memoranda that said, this is, we can give out stimulus checks. We have $300 billion. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Okay. Norman saying, well, they have fact checkers at the debate. See, they can't. I mean, I guess they could do that. That would be really interesting. But usually the fact checkers are in the spin zone. So after they're done, then you're going to have people on both sides come out and try to spin their candidate and say, yeah, my candidate did a great job. And then you'll have some other people coming out and saying, fact checking some of the stuff. And then you'll obviously the different news outlets will fact check some of this stuff too. But that would be interesting if you did have a fact checker there saying, oh, no, Mr. President, I'm sorry, that's not correct. Or no, Mr. Former Vice President, that wasn't a correct statement. You might have some of the people who are asking the questions, they might fact check, in real time. But it's very hard. And Trump has been able to get away with this. I'll call it getting away with this because there are a lot of things. And I don't care if you like Trump or you don't like Trump. You do have to admit that Trump says some things that are not correct. And I've heard arguments, well, all politicians lie. You know why they lie? Because we allow them to lie. That's why. And that's where we need to change as a country, as an electorate. We need to look at these politicians, and if they're lying, we need to hold them accountable for their lies. If you don't get held accountable for lying, then you're just going to continue to lie. So that falls on us. A lot of this stuff that's going on falls on us. Because when we look at these politicians and we allow them to do some of the things that they're doing, and that's something else that I'm going to be doing on this show, I'm going to be talking a lot about that. We need to focus on these politicians that are not doing what they need to be doing right now, helping the American people. And if they are not helping the American people, they need to be exposed and they need to be voted out of office. And there's some situations where we just don't have the power to do that. That's just, I don't have the power to vote Mitch McConnell out of office because I do not live in Kentucky. But you do have people in Kentucky that can vote him out. You do have people, as far as countrywide. I live in California, so we already have 2 Democratic senators, but you might have other parts of the country. You don't have you have maybe two Republican senators or one Republican, one Democratic senator. They might be running for reelection. Now's the time to say, okay, you know what? We can balance the government a little bit better, get Mitch McConnell out as the leader, because at this point he's not leading, he's just taking direction. Get him out and put someone in there that a leader that is ready to lead and lead the legislative branch and not rely on the White House to tell them what to do. Which is, it's amazing to me that we've allowed our government to get to this situation. And this is a bad situation. Make no mistake, this is a really bad situation. This is not something, when it comes to our government and how our government was designed, this is not the way our government was designed. And we're looking at a situation where we could possibly have some things happen in the future as far as, a real change of our democracy by some of the stuff that we're looking at right now. I mean, if you take out the legislative branch and you just handicap them and basically you have the executive branch, the White House, making all the decisions, just doing executive orders and not even relying on the legislative branch at all, then the president can do whatever they want. Oh, extend term limits? Okay, fine. Executive order. Here you go. And if the legislative branch doesn't step up and say anything, or if the judicial branch, if the Supreme Court doesn't step up and say anything, then guess what? We have a dictatorship. We have a president that can do any and everything that they want. And so that's the real fear here. And so and I know everyone wants stimulus checks. I get it. But you have to think at what cost. It's going to come to a point where we're going to have to start thinking at what cost are we going to get the stimulus check? People are saying, oh, don't worry about it. The president, he'll come through. He'll be the hero. He'll sign this executive order. But he's setting precedent, and it's not good precedent. And if he's allowed to get by doing that, other presidents will do the same, or he will continue to do the same. If he's reelected, we'll see a lot more executive orders, and they're going to be even more. They could be not in our benefit. All right. Okay, guys, let me go through these questions here. Now, I'm moving to the bottom right now. I'll just let you know. So if I didn't answer your question, then make sure you, if I didn't answer your question, make sure you ask that question again right now. We'll be on about 5. I know I said 5 minutes ago, but it'll be 5 minutes now. Okay, I already got my flu vaccine. Yes, flu vaccine. I never do that. I don't even know if I'll do it this time. But I've heard some scientists say, some doctors actually say, that you should consider doing the flu vaccine this year because of everything that's going on. Not that it's going to keep you from getting COVID-19, but it's just something else that will help you not catch the flu, which is going to break down your immune system, which could potentially, you could catch the flu and COVID-19, which has also been talked about, which is crazy. You can have both at the same time. All right. Okay, guys, so we're at the bottom. Any questions, go ahead and put them in right now if if your question has not been answered. Okay, Keisha's saying night. I guess good night. Miss Happy Apple's asking me if I got a donation. I don't see a donation, no. Let's see. All right, guys, any other questions? Final call. And Verna's saying, why don't they just call it CARES Act 2 and then just pass it and fight later? Yeah, why don't they just pass the same exact bill, the same CARES Act, make a few adjustments and call it CARES Act 2 and pass it? 2.2 trillion, it's the same thing that they passed last time. The thing that gets me, and this should be, when I hear some of the arguments coming from the Democratic side, it's interesting because you can use you can use the CARES Act as your sample. That's what you should be doing. The CARES Act, Republicans are saying this, President Trump is saying this, they're all saying the same thing. The CARES Act was a major success. And they're saying that's what helped us get to where we are now. That should be your argument. And I agree with Verno saying CARES Act 2. Start calling it that. Okay, we want to do the CARES Act 2. The same CARES Act, the same stuff that was in the CARES Act, with a few adjustments, because they do need to change some things. We know that there were a few mistakes when it came down to that. But CARES Act 2, that's what we want to do. Guess what? It's about $2.2 trillion. That's what we want to pass now. And go with that. And you're still going to have Republicans that are not going to support it, but at least you can say, well, you said that the CARES Act worked, so why aren't we going to use CARES Act 2? Our numbers have not improved that much when it comes down to it. And so we do need something that's similar, the same, at the same level of the CARES Act in order to get us out of this situation. But then, of course, they're going to argue about the enhanced unemployment, $600, $300. They're going to argue about that. But you can make some minor adjustments, like I said, and still have it, the CARES Act too. All right. You're saying it's showing up in the chat. I do not see anything, Miss Happy Apple. If you sent a donation, I'm sorry. I'm not seeing it. Oh, Mamie. I see Mamie's donation. Thank you very much for the super chat. Did I miss all these? Hold on. I'm going back now. Sometimes the page will skip down on me, and if I'm not looking at the page when it does it, then I miss it. And it looks like I'm not getting the whole page. Yeah. So Miss Happy Apple, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the donation. I don't see it, but I'll give you a shout out. Yeah. I don't even think my chat is showing everything because I can't go back to the very beginning for whatever reason. Mary, I had to put you on a timeout because you were asking some strange questions. So make sure you keep it appropriate. That's why I didn't answer questions that you were putting out there. Let's see. Miss Happy Apple saying it was earlier. Yeah, I didn't see it, but thank you anyway. Thank you for the super chat. Does this mean that we're not getting anything unless Biden is elected? Even if Biden's elected, then that's going to be a whole nother thing they're going to have to talk about, right? That's going to be something to talk about in January, February time. Now, I think if I were Biden and I was running for president, I would, in knowing that people want stimulus checks, I would be talking about that. I would be talking about the fact that we have look at our government right now. They're not functioning properly. We can't even get this stuff done. And then I would also tell them, look, this is what I want to do. President Trump did this before he was elected. Day one, I want to do this. We're building the wall within 100 days. We're doing this. We're doing that. And I know Biden has his agenda and he has his plan and he's been releasing that, but he needs to talk about that more, stimulus checks and things like that, because we already know that they are in agreement when it comes to stimulus checks and they want stimulus checks. When I say they, I mean Kamala Harris and President Biden and Vice President Biden. But I think they need to put that out there more because right now this is a situation where people are not getting anything. I say they're not getting anything as of right now. As of today, they're not getting anything. And I would really be playing off the fact that, yes, our government is just not working the way that it should be working. All right. All right, guys. Any other questions? 2 more minutes. We're going to be leaving in 2 minutes. Thank you guys all for being here. And like I said, share this video with your friends. Let them know we changed the channel name to The Tech Show or the TEC Show. And I'm going to start getting mugs. So I'm going to have some mugs. This is my college mug. There you go. But I want to get mugs. I actually like this style, so I'm going to start getting some mugs. Now Now, I could just make mugs and not make. I can have there's the service through YouTube where you can have mugs ordered through there. But I want to get like a nice mug. I don't want you guys purchasing something that's just a regular mug. I want you to have something that's nice. And so I'm gonna get some mugs made, maybe some other stuff. I don't know about shirts and stuff. I might do some shirts and stuff. But we're gonna really go forward with the tech show. This is gonna be the new the new thing on the channel, and we're gonna focus on a variety of different things. We'll focus on stimulus checks. We're gonna focus on the election, poll numbers, all that stuff. We're gonna focus on and more. Okay, financial stuff. I still want to talk about financial stuff. I think it's really important, especially in this day and age, where we've seen how this virus has affected everyone. I don't care if you're rich, poor. I mean, I live in Southern California. A big thing in Southern California is Hollywood, right? It's affected Hollywood. So you have a lot of, we'll see the effects in the next couple of years, but they're not able to shoot films and stuff now. Or when they shoot them, they have to do certain things. So we're seeing so much change just in the matter of months. And so this is more of the reason why you really need to start thinking about financially how to survive a pandemic. Having online businesses, having different things like YouTube and stuff like that, where you can, if you want to put out information or have a certain niche that you want to talk about and all that kind of stuff, you can start YouTube and make some money on that, or make some money in Amazon FBA, selling products. There's so many different things you can do online, and I think that's the way that we should be focused on. At least if you have a full-time job, that's good. Have a job on the side. Have an online job on the side, because it can help you through a lot of situations like this where we see people getting laid off and some people not being able to get their jobs back. But at least if you have something on the side, it will help you out a little bit. So, all right, guys. All right. So just so you guys know, like Steven, you put stuff out there, if it's profanity, it's not going to go through. YouTube is not going to allow it to go through. So it's just a waste of time to do stuff like that. And then we have moderators in here. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Miss Happy Apple. That will help me out when it comes to stuff like that. So just so you know. All right, guys. One more minute. So if I want to make sure I get these questions answered. So if you do have something, you could, because I really don't like when people say, "Oh, you didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my question." Well, you didn't. If I didn't answer it, just put it out again. I always give you guys a final warning. So, I want to make sure that gets addressed. Larry King saying, "Have a wonderful night and and God bless you and everyone else." Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. Alrighty here. Let me see. Just check this out real quick one more time. All right. Lucy said, "I've asked 3 times." Okay, so Lucy, that doesn't help me. Just put your question. That's all you have to do. You don't have to say you've asked 3 times. Just tell me what the question is, because now you've asked 3 times. I don't know what your question is. Okay. No stimulus question mark. No executive order question mark. Yes, if you watch my show, we talked about that. As of right now, no stimulus checks. As of right now, there's no new executive order. All right. Christina's talking about that National Lobster Day. Yes, I did hear about that. I don't even want to get into that. I really don't. I think we have, and like I said, we need to hold Congress accountable, okay? But we have a Congress that is out of touch with the American people. Simple as that. They don't see this as being a dire issue, When I say that, they don't see the stimulus package as being a dire issue. They don't see that people are suffering because they're not suffering. So they're just saying, you know what, they just need to go back to work. And so we're just going to focus on getting people back to work, but they're really not focusing because they're not focused on the virus. They're just focusing on forcing these businesses to open back up, forcing schools to open back up, even though our numbers aren't showing that they should be doing that. And so when it comes down to the what we're looking at here, yeah, we're looking at Congress people who they could care less. So the skinny bill fails, and then the next thing that they talk about is this whole Lobster Day thing. Oh, we'll make a National Lobster Day. Oh, okay, that's great. Yeah, you should be spending that extra time focusing on what do we do next? Okay, it failed. All right, so how do we make it not fail? What can we put in there that would make it not fail? Oh, I know. What about stimulus checks? What if you added stimulus checks to the skinny bill? You think it would pass then? It probably would, because you're going to have some Democrats that are going to say, you know what, enough. People need money. Let's go ahead and pass it with the stimulus check. And if they don't right before an election, guess what? That's not a good look for them. So, yeah, it's crazy. You just have politicians that are sitting there thinking, you know what, I'm just going to kind of do what I want to do, and there's really no problem here. It's just crazy. Or they'll say that it's urgency. You have Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor saying, yeah, this is an emergency. We need to get this done. But he did the pause for 2.5 months. But now this is urgent, needs to get done. And then they have the nerve to put this Lobster Day up as and basically what they did is they just they voted on this whole Lobster Day, this I think September 25th or something like that. So they did that right after the failed bill, the skinny bill. And it doesn't look like they want to even address another skinny bill or something else, which is ridiculous, right? If it doesn't work, then figure out how to get it to work. That's what you should be doing. All right. What Mary was asking about the airline industry. Yeah, so they're October 1st. As you know, starting October 1st, you have our legacy carriers. They've all talked about doing furloughs. Okay, and a furlough to them is basically you're laid off. They could still call you back, but they don't have any work for you. So that's what we're looking at October 1st, unless they get some money. And they've all been asking for money, so they need funding. We'll have to see where that goes. That might be an executive order that happens. We'll have to see if they can't come up. If Congress can't come up with something, then you might see an executive order when it comes down to that. But yeah, we're in a bad situation right now. We really are. All right, guys, I'm going to have to take off now. Thank you guys all for stopping by. Thank you for being here. And remember, it's your money, people. It's your money. I haven't said that in a long time, but I'm going to start saying that again. And the Tech Show, that is the new name for the channel. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.